Hey guys, it's story time, and it's a message to this. We have life paths, we have a destiny, we have a purpose here on the planet. And your personality, your experiences, everything you went through works hand in hand, whether you understand it or not. And you should be growing from it. And if you look back, you'll be like, wow, that taught me this taught me that. Well, at any rate, I had a child, and I've said this before in case anyone didn't know, or you just now follow me or whatever. My first child, I was 19 when I had him. And I want you to know that you write your story, right? See, people want to be the authors of your story. They want to write in things, they assume things, they project things. People are nasty, they have biases, they're ignorant, and that's just a part of life. There's nothing we can do to get past that. That's a part of life. I believe people will evolve and get better, but just know that there's a lot of ignorant people in the world. And I said that to say this. It does apply to the story. The day that my water broke and I went to give birth, I arrived at the hospital here. I'm in Michigan. And of course, they're taking my weight and my ID and all that stuff. Somehow, I don't know if they asked me, was this my first baby or something like that? And I was like, yeah, it's my first. And I don't know what I said after that, but her comment following was like, you'll be back. Now, mind you, I'm a teenager. And I look young, It wasn't like you'll be back because you'll want to have kids later and stuff like that. That wasn't the energy she was coming from. She was saying that like, you're young, you're a black teen, and a lot of you start having kids early, you continue to have a whole litter. That's what they think. We just sit up and fucking have litters of kids all day. We don't have nothing else going on. First of all, what she didn't know, and again, she was trying to write my story and assume and project her bias and ignorance onto me. What she didn't know is the only reason I had that child then was out of ignorance. And I say that because my parents never sat down with me and had a sex talk. Of course, we had health and stuff like that, but it's different when your parent sits down and educates you and explains the ins and outs. But the problem was being Christians and being sanctified. They just couldn't handle that conversation because we're going to ignore it like it's not going on. Because maybe if we ignore it, it doesn't happen. Because at the end of the day, as a Christian, you should not be having sex before marriage. And we're not going to deal with puberty, hormones. By this time, I had already been through puberty. I'm 19. We're not going to deal with urges, none of that. Now, of course, that wasn't the first time I had sex. Okay? I had been having sex. But the situation was never addressed from a educational point of view and a realistic point of view, because you have to give information and then you've got to back it up with scenarios and stories and stuff like that, so your kids can understand it. And really, if you present it the right way, I really believe they'll make the best decisions. Well, at least they'll have the information to do so. But the point was, I didn't. And that's why I was in that situation. Now, yes, me and girlfriends talked and stuff like that. But your girlfriends are not your parents, and they're trying to figure it out just like you're trying to figure it out. I had girlfriends tell me to get on birth control, but how was I going to get there? Because when I asked my mom to take me to the doctor, when I was trying to have a conversation with her, she was making it very complicated. She wasn't making it a situation to where it was an open door, and then she was worried about what my dad would think, because she didn't work. So he had the insurance. She had to go to him and get the insurance card, and she didn't want to have that conversation. So because of their dysfunctions and their breakdown in communication and ignorance in that regard, I suffered for it. But here it is. I do have 3 children. I never had another child until I got married, because that was my decision from what I had learned and what I evolved from. Now, I truly believe my son came here for a reason, and that was to anchor me. Because of my personality and different things and different variables, he was going to keep me on my intended path. But I just say all that to say, I didn't really have nothing to say to that lady too much, because I was in labor. And what am I going to do? We're not about to fight in here. And it's not that serious. That's her problem. That's her ignorance. But I just wanted to come on here and give you guys this message. Don't let other people project their ignorance on you, and don't take their words for heart, because at the end of the day, you are in control of how your story is going to be told and how people are going to perceive you. And remember, everything comes in its perfect timing, and everything works together for the greater good. But you have to believe that, though. You have to sincerely believe that what I'm going through is working through the greater good. And that doesn't mean to just lay down and make a bunch of stupid mistakes. You're going to make mistakes, but I don't want you to be overly critical on yourself too. I'm just saying it's a balance. It's a balance between being informed, having some kind of wisdom and discernment, and just trusting the process, being patient, and believing in yourself. It's really what it comes down to. So I don't know if that helped anybody, but that just popped up in my head earlier, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to share that with everybody, because I thought it was something that needed to be heard. And listen, for you young girls out there, if anybody's young listening to this, if your parents aren't approachable, I implore you to really go talk to somebody that you can talk to. Because see, the problem was my girlfriend told me to get on birth control. But again, how was I going to get there? And I never took the city bus. To this day, I'm almost 35. I've never been on a city bus. I don't know nothing about it. I wanted to take the Dexter bus, and everybody thought I was crazy because it's ghetto as hell over there. But just an experience, right? If you're going to do it big, baby. But I didn't have the thought to, well, let me get on the city bus. Let me find out a route. Let me get to the place, to the clinic. I didn't. Everything after I got pregnant and was about to have my son, I started figuring it out on how to get my own things and stuff like that, because I was placed in that position where it was like a fight or flight. I had to make it work for this kid I was about to bring in the world, because as far as I was concerned, I wasn't ready to be a parent. But even though I was very ignorant as to what was going on, I did know this. I know I did have sex. I know that I knew what I was doing in that regard. And I had brought this child here. So to me at the time, abortion wasn't an option. By the time I found out, I was 6 weeks. And for whatever reason, that's another thing. Every child I've ever had has hid. I won't know I'm pregnant for a while. I think even with my daughter, it was some months or something. It was something crazy. I don't know. It just be weird. That's just how my body works. It's like it wouldn't give me, with any of these kids, it wouldn't have given me an option to get rid of them, because the way I process things, by the time I find out, they're already in the process of life. It's not like a little tadpole anymore. It's like this thing is developing. It's a human being. So I couldn't, knowing what I did, take that. I wasn't about to live with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, I was young. I had a guy that offered, that I was went to high school with. He offered to pay for the abortion because he said I was so young and I had such a bright future ahead of me, and he would be willing to help me because I didn't need a kid at the time. But I couldn't do it. I didn't want to live with that. So make sure that you are talking to somebody who will talk to you, because our parents, if they knew better, they do better. It's a lot of ignorance, especially when it comes to that whole Christ consciousness thing and sanctified church, Pentecostal, apostolic. I'm talking to somebody out here. It's a lot of ignorance that goes on in that community, and I know no one wants to acknowledge it. They want to rebuke it and call everybody full of the devil, because that's how they handle things. But at the end of the day, all of us are imperfect. We're just trying to walk this thing. We're all just trying to get it right. And I just wanted to talk to somebody out there because they needed to hear this. Think about if social media was out when I was in high school, when I was having sex. Do you know how much information that I would have had access to? How much different? Now, I don't want my life to be different, because this is all I know. And I love my children and I love my husband. And really, my first child is a big component of why I even met my husband. So all of these things were blessings, but still. So this thing is powerful. These kids now today, they've got access to a huge tool. And if they use it right, whatever their parents aren't teaching them, they can change the world. Because look, parents aren't perfect. They're a result of the sum of their education, their experiences, and stuff like that. The love that they were given, or the lack of love that they were given. So we still have to be patient with people and love them and send love and light, and understand that they really did their best. You know what I'm saying? They did what they thought was right. It wasn't to spite you, make you feel any kind of way. They just did what they felt would be right. So I hope this message sits well with you guys. I'm going through my own personal journey, my spiritual journey, and I'm really just in a good mood. It's beautiful today. It's not super hot or anything. I'm kind of falling behind on my walk because it's a lot going on today, and we have a pickup from the school for the kids' items and stuff like that. So that's coming up shortly. So by the time me and Chase would have gotten a good walk, we would have missed it, because when we walk, that's at least an hour and about 45 minutes at the minimum. So I'm gonna have to wait till I get back. But I wanted to share that with you while it was fresh on my mind and my points were in there, so I wouldn't miss a beat. And I want to let you guys know, for those who are staying around and following me and being patient, I love you guys. I appreciate the support. Please share this video, because you never know who it's gonna help and like it too. Love y'all.